Two-time Hall of Fame inductees, Brent Godarzi and Marty Young. Back-to-back #1 trucking firm in the nation. Back-to-back best attorney and best law firm in East Texas.
Welcome, Buckeye Army, to the Gilmer Buckeyes Coaching Show. I'm Todd Robinson, the host of your show today with the head coach and athletic director of the Gilmer Buckeyes, Alan Metzel. Well, Alan, weird night on Friday night. It seemed like really no matter what we did, it was going to be one play away from something not going our direction. How are you feeling after the Buckeyes play exceptionally well, I would say? If you look at the statistics sheet and you look at the scoreboard, just a complete non-match, and then if you actually look at the game, you kind of go, okay, that is the epitome of it just wasn't our night.
Yeah, I think one of the things when you have a game like the other night, you just have to be able to stop for a minute, kind of pull back and go, you know what? We didn't play with the edge that we've got to play with. We played a good team, a really good team. They had a good plan. They have good players. But we didn't match that edge, that you've got to have when you play a really good team. I thought our practices were really good coming into the game. I thought we were ready mentally, and then we didn't bring that about on the field. And so, I think in order to fix what took place, you have to first start with owning that and just going, okay, I didn't have them ready, and so we've got to go back, make sure that our workouts and our mindset and our leadership and all of our direction is all headed in the same idea, and then put it on the field. And so it is what it is, and we didn't play our best. And when you don't, I think when you don't have that edge, that's when you get into that, we were a play late, or we missed a guy, or we didn't, that's how you end up one tick of a second too slow, Yeah,
and I think that's a good way to sum things up. I also think that obviously this was going to be a big game for Pleasant Grove. I thought they played about as well as they could have played.
They did.
And really about how I saw them on film, about what I expected to see on film. And kudos to them. They played a great game. They won the game. I think at the end of the day, if they looked at the stat sheet, they got a lot of stuff that they're saying we got to work on as well.
Well, either team would be that way. If we had won, we'd be going, yep, okay, so we need to fix. We're at week 8, those kind of things. No doubt. And it wasn't like we were void of positives.
Right.
It's just our standard for what we expect is higher. And, there were missteps in multiple areas, not getting on the field when we needed to after, a timeout on a punt return, stuff like that where we're just not dialed in like we've got to be dialed in. That's just one example. There were plenty, allowing the kick to hit the ground on the kick return there at the end of the game, not converting on third downs in the first half. We were our first 9 times on third and short or third down on offense, we were 1 of 9. Now in the second half, we flipped that, and did much better. So what's the difference in the first half and the second half? Just dialing in better, So all of that, no excuses, no, it was this or blaming or any of that, and let me stop on that. This presents the opportunity of teaching how to deal with something that happens that you don't like. And it's easy to point fingers at each other. It's easy to blame. It's easy to gripe. It's easy to do all those things. And that's pretty much what our world does. When things don't go well, they just fall apart and all that. And we're training young men that when something doesn't go well and you get that blow, you don't turn on each other. You turn in to each other, and you learn to take the next step.
Yeah, and I think there's something huge to be said for kind of deja vu all over again, because exactly what you said is exactly what happened last year.
It is.
Under much more challenging circumstances that we could go into for a whole nother show.
Right.
When you look at it from last year to this year, I still haven't changed a single time. Probably said it 10 times this week since the game. I still like a lot better where we are right now than we were last year at this time, and we wound up with trophies and everybody happy. And I hope that our kids truly understand that, you know what, and I hear you say it in practice at the end of practice, we have to be our own opponent at the end of the day. We've got to be, we play against ourselves and we play up to that standard. Last year's game, let's be honest, with PG,
they put it on us.
They scored 70-plus points.
Yeah, they put it on us.
And basically halfway through that game, you were just saying, I'm not sure how we're going to, get to the end of it. And then you have a complete, basically, reset on the defensive side. Then you look at the statistics in Friday night's game, and you see, okay, they were 5, I think, for 16 in the first half passing, but the 5 that they had were either a touchdown or a conversion. Otherwise, it was stop, 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 stop. So there's not a ton to fix comparatively. That mountain is not nearly as high to climb.
No doubt.
But to your point, still a whole lot of positives.
Yes.
And still everything in front of you. You may even make the argument that the road's a little bit easier. You've been accused twice this morning just in church of stacking it on purpose, right? Just the way things play out. We won't jinx that, but I can tell you that's not the case, folks.
No,
absolutely not the case.
The crud that I feel in my stomach ever since Friday night, I attest to the fact I was not trying to do that. I just tell you that right now.
Well, let's jump into the highlights and look at look at the positives in the game, and then we'll talk about looking ahead to what's to come for this team, because everything's in front of us.
Absolutely, it is. We're ready to move forward and to go be better. So the first one here, you've got Tyler Hagler down there in the front. He's our difference maker. Of course, we have several down there. And he forces a fumble on this play. Our defense forced two turnovers in the first half. The problem was we got 3 out of 2 turnovers, as opposed to really having the opportunity to make a real statement right there. Right. And we didn't capitalize like we needed to. But you see just unusual quickness by a big man, and is able to work his way through. Rips the ball out, and then Devin McDonald jumps in and makes the play. I'll show you from a different angle, the end zone angle. You're going to see Devin. So there's Tyler. He works his way through, gets his hands on. There's the ball. Here comes Devin flying in, dives on the ball right there, and the pile comes up with the turnover. Huge momentum shift, great stop, and it's what we've been preaching. We were talking about creating the turnovers. We just didn't capitalize.
And we got 2 of them. And from a defensive standpoint, I would make the argument that I'd say it all the time. When you get good teams, there are 4 or 5 plays that make all the difference. And that's at every level of football. The better a team you are, the smaller the windows of opportunities that you have. And in this case, I think Pleasant Grove happened to execute with a little momentum on almost all of those. So if you look at all those, let's call it 5 to 7 plays that made all the difference, they got all 7,
and we didn't. Yeah, right. It is, and that's not luck. That's they capitalized and we didn't.
Right.
So we own that, and we've got to fix that. So here comes our next highlight here. This is Brendan Webb outside at receiver here, and we run him on a comeback, and Brady puts the ball out on him, and you can see their DB went for it. He missed, and they called us out somewhere around the 20 or so there. It was. I kept looking on the film. It's hard to tell, but anyway, that would have been nice to get that 7 right there. But a great play, nice throw, great catch, and great effort getting us down into the red zone. And then off of that, we get to Braden Pate, and this guy is just such a weapon, and kicks the ball through, gives us our 3, and even though we didn't execute to get the 7, we did get points.
Yeah, and it gave us an opportunity knowing we were going to get the ball back. And that was the crazy part. Until the very end, we were never out of the game by any shot. We kept waiting on, okay, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes.
Yes.
You almost got the feeling that eventually stuff's got to break our way.
Yeah.
And at the very end, then it broke the actually opposite.
Right.
And then
the dam broke, and here came the water.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, like you say, up to that the punt where we got the penalty, you're thinking, okay, we're going to go down and we'll score, and then, we'll kick an onside kick, and, you're figuring out how to just close a very small margin as poorly as we had played and as well as they had played. And we just didn't get it done. So I'm repeating myself now. All right, Braden with the field goal. Let's go to Grayson Bates. So Grayson, coming back from the knee injury, this is about he came back in the Brenham game, so now we've got a few games under his belt. And man, did he play physical the other night. Watch him here at linebacker and you just see the hit that he puts on this guy. Now I'm going to do it from the end zone. If you ever think, oh yeah, I could do that, I could run the ball, then just understand this goes with it. And here he comes tracking him, and watch this smack. I mean,
it's like getting hit by a truck.
Yeah, that was that was a blast right there. That was impressive. So good to see him back and beginning to make plays again and show up on tape.
And at the linebacking core, I thought Kai even took
I've
another
got him
step
on.
and played even another. That's his highlight coming up. We get ahead, but I thought defensively, we played about as well as we had played. If you take 4 or 5 busts out of it, out of the equation, that I wouldn't even call them normal. I would call them one of those things where those opportunities come in most games, and generally speaking, they go about 50-50 of those 6 or 7 plays, and we didn't get one of them. Right. We just all went the other way.
I would agree. Well, here's Alex Guillen playing end. You're going to see their quarterback do the read zone. This is like what Van was running, and he does a great job of showing that he's taking the back, playing the quarterback. I'm going to show it again here. So watch as he reads it, sits, plays the quarterback, gets him down for a tackle for loss. That's a big play, and Alex has really made a number of big plays the past several weeks. So we'll move from there to, you just mentioned Kai Kennedy, so you set me up there. So Kai's coming on a blitz here. They've got a pass called, and watch him time this out. He right off the snap, here he comes, quarterback never sees him and just blasts him. This is kind of like that thing I was talking about with Grayson where, everybody talks about, oh, I could play this or that, but watch this hit here. You're not even seeing it, and just pow. I mean, you got smacked. Well done.
It was physical all night. I really thought that that it was as advertised. We knew that their defensive line was going to be, their strength.
A challenge,
Yeah, and I think their defensive line is as good as we had seen, and I think as good as we're going to see.
Yeah,
right?
They're very, very talented. Carthage would be up in that league. Of course, Bellevue's got the huge human that we had to play last year. So there's some guys out there that would be close, but they're across the board.
Right.
They're really solid.
Right.
They really are.
And quite frankly, I thought that our offensive line did a pretty good job overall, given the state of our offensive line, to get all of that managed. And I didn't think that we were overmatched in any sense of the word in any portion of the game. Right. It was just one of those games that, everything just didn't go your way.
Right. There's things, that we've got to do a better job mentally of sorting out blitzes and those kind of things, but that didn't have anything to do with matching up. It just had to do with you got to do your job better.
Right.
You got to make sure every gap is accounted for, and we'll work on that. So we go to the offense here. We had struggled in the first half really getting our running game going, and I felt like their D-line had a good bit to do with that.
Exactly.
It did. But you see here in the second half, we finally got a little momentum going and got a first down or two. And it's amazing when you get a first down how positive things begin to happen. You get into fatigue factor, et cetera.
And I thought it's amazing that if we have the ball longer than 9 plays, which in the first half, quite frankly, we ran 17 plays, it's hard to get your rhythm.
Yeah, you don't get into a flow, calling or running.
Right.
Running the play. So you're going to see Trill here. I felt like he did a great job of finding his hole here off the blocks, and then also making people miss with avoiding and so forth. So watch the move right there. That's just a great cut, and gets a 29-yard run. I'm going to show the end zone view so you can see the line and the fullback and the job they did. So we get a really good double team block by Keno and Felipe Rocha on their tackle there. And then you're going to see the backside wall off their D-line and their linebacker. And then watch Devin McDonald on the key play right there or the key block right there on their linebacker, which occupies him. and Trill squeezes through, and then his speed kicks in at that point.
Right.
So really, really well done, executed all across the line, fullback in the hole with the linebacker, well done. So now we drive down, I think our touchdown drive, if I'm not mistaken, was an 18-play drive.
From the
1
99-yard drive.
Yeah, we broke some odds on that one, the tendency to go that far. But great job. And this play, it could have gone multiple directions. We had a double call where you could have gone the other direction. They had, because of the look they were in, it took us to the bubble out here, and our receivers do a great job. Braden Pate and then Jeremiah on the edge. So here's Webb. Watch Pate and Jeremiah out here on the edge on blocking right there. Yeah. Super job. And then Brendan does a good job sticking his nose in, makes the guy commit, and then zips right around outside for a touchdown. Well done there. Now, I included this. This is right at the end of the game, and they score. There's about a minute and something to go or whatever. And the reason I went ahead and included this, we get a block, is to me, it's this mentality that we're trying to create, that you just play the next play. It doesn't matter what the score is. It doesn't matter, how this is going to affect the end of the game. You're playing for the rest of the season on this play.
Right.
This play.
I had when this happened,
yeah.
I had the exact same thought of saying, okay, now we're about to see where we go from here.
Yeah. Are you going to stand there with your hands on your hips because, it doesn't matter or whatever? Or do you line up and you go make a play?
Right.
And that's exactly what they did. And so you see Grayson Bates and Trey Lee here, great job creating pressure. And then here comes Trey through his gap. Trey's the one who actually got his hand on the ball. Grayson's right beside him. But that's what we're trying to teach is no matter what, you play the next play. You play for your teammates. You do what's right. One of the tenets of of our whole program is do it right or do it again.
Right.
And right there, they did it right. They did it right. They finished right. We didn't play the whole game as well as we would have liked, but you finished right. Okay, we'll build on that. Yeah, but that's something to springboard from.
And I can tell you, the aftermath of last year's Pleasant Grove game, among the players, and I mean, we're down here a lot and know these kids pretty well. You guys have to live with them every day from a coaching standpoint, but there's another kind of layer that we're close enough to it where you get to know families and guys and et cetera. And you go to church with them and you're going to see them in the community and they're going to tell you where they're at, right? They're young men and they're going through this process and it starts, years and years and years ago, especially the seniors, right? And last year's senior class got to this point. It's almost like deja vu all over again, right? It's 5-3, and now we're going to decide where we go from here. And like I said, last year the mountain was much, much higher for a lot of different reasons. But the senior class kind of all got together and said, okay, we're not leaving anything on the table. That's the only way I know how to put it. And then they just went and ran the table.
Right.
It just, from this exact moment, it was a fork in the road. We can talk about strategically how the matchups happen and all that. At the end of the day, you're the head coach. You're going to say, hey, it's a one-game tournament from here on in. We're just going to win the next play, win the next game. And that led you to Jerry's World once again and to a state championship trophy last year. Knowing that the slope of that mountain is not anywhere near what it was last year, you still cannot help but feeling that the best is still out in front of this team for exactly the play you just showed, right? For we're not done yet. Yeah, and I sense that mentality even after, the disappointment. I didn't sense the crushing disappointment that we had last year walking off our own field against PG.
Well, and here's the deal. I appreciate so many people are like, well, yeah, that's where you were last year. Now you can go win it again. I'm like, okay, well, there's a whole lot between now and then. Just
there was last year too.
Ooh, there's a whole lot of stuff that's got to go on. The component, I would agree that we are further physically and some of our skill sets and those kind of things. The dynamic that has got to take the next step, and I think there's actually multiple steps between now and December. But it's that portion of the seniors, the underclassmen, and taking that next step of gelling. and that's the critical component. That we have all the pieces. It's there. I'm just telling you right now. It's there to do great things. That's what has got to take the next step. And they have to make that choice. And we're in a position to do that. And now we'll see how this week goes. We want to take that next step. So that's the challenge. That's the work we have for this week.
Well, that's the way you run a marathon, 1 mile
exactly.
at a time. Right?
That's right.
And it certainly is. If all things go well, this would be the halfway point of the season, as crazy as that sounds. You purposefully set up the schedule and this whole to be a marathon. I mean, it's no secret. You've been to the state championship 3 out of the last 4 years. At the end of the day, you plan this. You plan to set up the components this way, and I would agree with you. I think all the pieces, parts are there. But for any team, there is the journey.
Yes.
Right? There are forks in the road where you're going to have a discussion with yourself. If anybody's ever run a marathon, you get to about mile 7 and you decide only 18 more to go. You have to have a discussion with yourself, and that discussion determines how the rest of the race is going to go.
Right.
I think we're right at that halfway point.
Yeah. I would agree. This right here it's the part that really separates. When you're talking about teams that can go and be in that 8-team to 4-team tournament, and then obviously the top 2, they're all good. They're all really good, or they wouldn't be there. So what separates them? And this is what this stuff that I'm talking about right now, where this gelling, that's what can separate you. It's what separated last year's team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's my desire, it's my passion, it's my we're going to pour everything we can into facilitating this opportunity for them to seize the reins and go and do this. So anyway, that's what's at work right now. And
well, it's as crazy as it sounds, the dominoes are all set up once again. It's just, God's good all the time. And in this case, I look forward to not just the journey week to week, but seeing how far these individual kids have come, and then to see the opportunities that are in front of them. You just can't ask for anything else.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it's all about, we got one more chance for the seniors to play at home, correct?
This is our senior night, parent night on the field. All that will start about 7 o'clock, so parents will need to be there about 6:30 or so to get lined up and so forth. It's a special time every year. It's crazy to think this is their last home game of their career. So it's a big deal.
I would say that it's only 7 days between last Friday night and next Friday night, but it's a different week because of things like that.
Right.
The realization as a senior of, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 7 years now, and this is the last time. I think that gelling chemistry thing that you start talking about with the mindset and mentality of getting that edge starts with things like that. Just that little fact that, hey, for this senior class, and quite frankly, hey, there has never been a group of seniors in Gilmer Buckeye history that have put the skins on the wall that this group has.
Correct.
I mean, never. It's 2 state championships in track, coming off a football state championship. No team has ever even appeared back-to-back, much less gone and won back-to-back state championships. They have everything in the world to say, wow, we can, kind of immortalize ourselves in Buckeye lore, and having the opportunity. I have a feeling that a lot of guys grow up a lot this week.
Yeah, well, it's a great opportunity too, and can't wait to see the product on the field and see improvement and taking one more step.
I agree. Next Friday night here in Buckeye Stadium, Jeff Traylor Stadium, senior night, last chance to see these seniors play at home before the tournament starts. We'll talk about that as we get a little bit closer. Not going to even go there for today, but lots to look forward to, everything in front of these Gilmer Buckeyes as we go forward for our last 2 district games and then into the playoffs. We have essentially secured a playoff spot at this point. We obviously want to finish up strong in that number 2 spot. Van and Pleasant Grove still have to go play each other the last game the week after next, which is going to determine a lot of things too. So lots of exciting things in the next 2 weeks as we get into November. Hopefully the weather turns a little bit and it'll start feeling like it's fall weather for football. So for myself, Todd Robinson, Coach Alan Metzel, and the Gilmer Buckeyes, we expect to see you here next Friday night on senior night to send these guys out for the rest of their careers. Last time you'll see them in Jeff Traylor Stadium. So we look forward to that. We will see you Friday night against the Spring Hill Panthers. Go Buckeyes.